Hey everybody! This week's episode is going to be Scientology.
Uh-oh, the big hot topic.
Hot topic Scientology. Yeah, recently there was a HBO documentary came out revealing, all about Scientology. It had some ex-members of not just members but leaders of the church have recently come out, gotten together, decided to I
So
guess
that's a
expose the church.
HBO's Going Clear
Yes, going
documentary.
clear.
I suggest everyone watch it. Mr. Eon turned me onto it and had me go watch it, and I was pretty blown away by it. But then I discovered some YouTube videos that kind of countered the Going Clear. The movie just came out like March 30th, and there's already people like defending Scientology big time. But I think it's been going on for quite a while anyway. The whole Scientology debate. But
Oh, absolutely.
that documentary is pretty well done. I've seen some YouTube videos bashing the director and saying that this wasn't actually a documentary. It was a one-sided piece against Scientology. But hey,
Yeah, it was clearly a
make your
one-sided piece.
yeah. So documentary is supposed to just be like stating facts and things like that. But obviously, in this day and age, we don't really have that. We have documentaries that have one-sided, like 9/11 truthers or UFO people that are into UFOs, or even like Catholics. They have documentaries like a kid who had a near-death experience and saw God. They had a documentary about that. That's one-sided, but
Yeah, that's
this
pretty
one's
one-sided.
this one's pretty good. I watched it. When I was watching it, I was like, oh man, I don't know any of this stuff about Scientology. I mean, they have huge camps that they did a massive building in L.A. and all over the world.
Oh yeah, all over the
Super,
world.
super rich.
Yeah, so let's I guess dig in a little bit as to what it is. It was founded by his name is Lafayette Ronald Hubbard. He was born in 1911, died in 1986 from a stroke. Now, Scientology, they claim that he did not die of a stroke because somebody who achieves that amount of level in Scientology would not have a stroke, is what they say. But he he defines Scientology as a body of beliefs and related practices created by science fiction or by himself, beginning in 1952 as a successor to his earlier self-help system, which was called Dianetics. He characterized Scientology as a religion, and in 1953 he incorporated the Church of Scientology in Camden, New Jersey. Um, it's a religion that offers a precise path leading to a complete and certain understanding of one's true spiritual nature and one's relationship to self, family, groups, mankind, all life forms, the material universe, and the spiritual universe, and the supreme being. It addresses the spirit, not the body or the mind, and believes that man is more than a product of his environment or his genes.
Hmm. Which is something we were talking about before the show. Is that just the name Scientology made me think, because I watched that documentary with no idea what Scientology was, and I thought just the name Scientology would be like this higher like knowledge of science, or I don't know, whatever. But this the derivative of that word does not mean science and ology. The cyan part of that, or it's scientia,
Scientia.
is a Latin word for knowledge or skill.
Right.
So it's not like science at all. It's just knowledge of something, right? And then
Knowledge of the Greek, what logos, which is yeah, to know the word or an account of.
right, that's right. Yeah, it's an
Um,
account of.
and yeah, and Hubbard describes it as the study and handling of the spirit in relationship to itself, the universe, and other life.
So right off the bat, I mean, it is. I mean, it can be classified as a religion in my mind. Once you start getting into what it is, I mean, it's like um, meditation. It's cleansing the body. It's um, there's a creator. There's a God. You're a spirit person. So a lot of things that Christianity, Buddhism, things like that, they all believe the core
Yes,
basics, I guess. Right?
you are a spirit. Man is an immortal spiritual being that passes through bodies and is reborn from lifetime to lifetime. Man's capabilities are unlimited, even though he has not presently realized this.
Wow. So yeah, you can't die of a stroke because you're supposed to elevate yourself out of the body at some point, right?
Right, and even when he died, they didn't announce that he had died. They announced that he had reached a new higher level where he could no longer use his physical body anymore, and he had transcended on to the next,
Yeah.
realm of teachings or wherever he was headed.
Well, I guess in the science medical field, you have to have a cause of death, right? You got to make up something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and if you're not really your body, then if your body does something, it's not really you anyway. It's just it's like when your car breaks down, I guess.
Yeah.
There's just something that causes it to break down. Let's see what I got here.
So from what I
Now,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so Hubbard, he was a science fiction author for a long time. Is what he really did for a while. He's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for publishing over 1,000 works. So he just had tons of far out books that he had written, and had traveled the world, or claimed he had traveled the world, and met basically all cultures and read all these, far out spiritual teachings, and had this great deep questioning of like, what is reality? What is man? What is man's purpose? Um, and he developed, I guess, this system that he wrote about in Dianetics, where he explains that the mind is split into two parts. What's the first part? The rational mind, is it?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Rational and I had it
And then the
somewhere down
reactive
here.
mind is the other
Reactive
part.
mind. That's the part that Scientology is
That's
trying
the
to
part, yeah.
quell.
That's the part Scientology claims has the whole world all jacked up.
Yes.
Um, Basically, the rational part is like a computer. It never forgets anything. It's precise. It's just a computer. And then the reactive mind is where everything else lives: the emotions, our fears, our obviously our reactions,
I
and
think you
it
said.
is
I think you said reaction and reaction. The logical mind was the first one, and reactionary was the second one.
right.
Yeah.
And he develops this system where he can remove what they call the engrams out of you, which are like almost like little computer viruses, or kind of like gremlins running around in there.
They do
Things
that.
that cause. I guess in some religions, like in Christianity, they'd call those like sins or something, demons running amok. And he can sit you down, and through this process, you can hook up almost like a lie detector test to yourself called the E meter, and it measures the resistance. He claims it measures the weight of your thought, of the weight of that engram. So when you're talking about it or thinking about it, you see it on the meter, and then it's further discussed and relived until you're able to suppress it, or not suppress it, but remove it, and then that engram isn't holding you back anymore.
Yeah, so you think about it over and over and over, and then the electronic signal on the screen gets lower and lower and lower, almost like your mind is getting used to the thought. It's not as traumatic anymore. Is that? I guess
I
that's.
guess you're just kind of seeing it as just a thought. Yeah, you're just seeing that it's just not really there. It's just this thing that's just kind of replicating in your mind.
Yeah, and
Um,
I was playing you an audio track before we started this podcast, and it was a guy that was saying it's just a really expensive form of talking to a psychotherapist, like in the chair, like over and over about,
yeah,
oh, and how do you feel about that, sir? And except in Scientology's world, they write down all of the stuff that you're spilling out.
they do. They keep track of all this information, which is a little concerning,
Yeah.
especially based on a lot of the people you can hear online talking about it. Now, I went to one of these centers one time, and I sat down, and they asked me some questions, and the meter went up. What was interesting was that the things that I thought were bothering me actually didn't really make the meter go up, and then other things that I mentioned that I didn't really outwardly think were were problems actually did make the meter go up, and I didn't end up taking any of their classes or doing anything, but I did sit and think a lot about those things that had made the meter go up, and sort of realized that indeed they were bothering me. And I guess those are the more pestering types of thoughts and concerns, are the ones that you're not really willing to admit are problems. And that's sort of, I guess, the idea of the auditing process
Well, you gotta wonder. I
that he
mean, because
developed.
in your own head, like say someone stabs you in the arm when you're like 12 or 13 years old with like a pencil, and you're 12 or 13. You're walking into Scientology when you're 30. So you've had 18 years, 17 years to think about that stabbing in the arm, and why the hell did that guy stab me in the arm? And if I ever see him again, I'm gonna stab him in the arm. So you're thinking about it a lot, right? You think about it like every year. It crosses your mind. But then you have these like really these things way back in your mind that you don't really think about that often. Maybe every 5 years or something. You know, you
Or,
think about why didn't my dad ever come to a baseball game? You know,
or
that
even
crosses your mind.
past
Yeah.
lives, he says, too.
Well, that too, because you
Yeah.
definitely never think of that because you forget them between lives,
Yeah,
supposedly.
exactly. Or they come in your dreams.
Right.
Yeah, it is it's the subconscious stuff, I guess, is sort of what he's getting into.
So you could register. So anyway, you could register like high with the thought of why your dad didn't go to the baseball game because you only think about it like every 5 years. But then the one where the guy stabs you in the arm, it doesn't score very high because maybe you've thought about it every year for 13 years or 18 years, and it's already lowered on the scale or whatever. You know what I mean?
Or yeah, maybe yeah, you've dealt with it more,
You
whereas the other
dealt with
thing
it more. Yeah.
affected you and is more traumatic, but yeah, it kind of went away and it never
Right.
really got dealt with. Which is, of course, the same idea as going to a psychiatrist, but or maybe it's a psychologist. I don't know, but either way, L. Ron Hubbard said that they were all a bunch of crooks and scammers, and he was totally
He's the right one. Yeah.
opposed to them. Yeah, he said he had the answers. He was very opposed to prescribing of medication,
Oh yeah.
psychiatric
Can't even take it.
medication.
Can't even take aspirin
Right.
or Bayer or whatever you take.
Or obviously any drugs, intoxicants. You're you're basically just clouding your judgment. So yeah, so through this auditing process, you're trying to reach a level of clear where they've removed all of these engrams from your reactive mind, and then you can kind of have a better understanding of what's going on and who you are and your purpose, and you are beginning the process of going up the bridge, they call it, which
The bridge to total freedom.
the bridge to total freedom.
You got to make it sound interesting
I
and
mean,
amazing
how
and
good does that sound? Gonna climb the bridge, gonna go across the bridge to total freedom. And
Yeah, one side of the bridge is being the auditor, the person that gets people to a point where they can start going up the other side of the ladder, which is practitioner. But there's yeah, how many levels were there? There was like 18 books of L. Ron Hubbard's that you had to read, and then there was 240 lessons that the Scientology church teaches that you start climbing the bridge for practitioner. And I think the auditor had its own levels, maybe 20 or 30 of those as well. But each one was like three to $5,000. I want to say. Like, and then you had the encyclopedias of books, which were thousands of dollars, and in reality, it was just like L. Ron Hubbard's volumes of this, I guess, story or you know, volumes of encyclopedias. I think is what they called them.
Huh, yeah, he had a lot of writings. If you Google search the Scientology bridge, you'll find some charts they have, and they're amazingly detailed. These systems that they have to go through
Yeah,
to
and
climb this
some
bridge.
people say it was like months and months just to get through one. I mean, there are people that are in Scientology 30 years and haven't made it to the top of Scientology yet. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get up these bridges.
Yeah, and that's of course a point of concern for a lot of people. These prices they charge for this, um, they call it technology that they're sharing with you. Actually, like this is proprietary, patented technology in their opinion. Um,
I wonder,
obviously,
I wonder if there's a team of people that like if you share the books online, like ebook or something, that they'll come after you like for infringement or something of the patent.
oh, they definitely will. Yeah, absolutely. They're actively out there trying to shut down anything that is not completely approved as part of their process.
Yeah, because we were also talking about how they like stalk people and follow them around and uh, their online experiences followed and
Yeah.
they
Now,
use they go ahead.
well, so yeah, they do some interesting stuff. Now, Hubbard described that as what he called fair game, meaning that anybody that attacks the church is fair game. He's like they bring it, then we'll bring it right back. And they don't mess around. They're very offensive because to them it's something that's gonna fix the whole world, and they're trying to
Right.
fix the world. And if somebody's trying to stop them from doing that, they're going to attack them as if they're an enemy, like they're ISIS or something. Essentially, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're trying to change the world to be better people, and then they do like these stupid like anti-people things. You know?
Right. Also, the fact that their information is not like freely available is kind of interesting because you don't really find any religions that keep their information secret.
Well, yeah, like the Catholic Church, you don't have to give $3,000 a month to go to Catholic. You can just like you don't even have to give anything. You can just sit there for months and months and months, and they don't make you give anything.
Now, what is ironic is that the Catholic Church, you know, back in the day used to only have the Bible in Latin and
That's true.
would not actually let anybody know what it meant. So in some ways it's very similar to the way the Catholic Church used to be until the Reformation happened and they translated the Bible. There actually are Scientologists now who are reformed and have broken away from the church, still believe all of the teachings, still believe in, you know, the e-meter auditing, becoming clear and all that, but they're all about kind of more free distribution of the information. Now, a lot of this stuff. So there's Hubbard who set it all up, and he had some beliefs and all that. But it's also since what the early '90s has been run by David Miscavige, who is a bit of a different character than Hubbard,
Very different. Yeah.
and he's been running it for you know 25 years. So a a lot of this stuff is more related to him and the way he runs the system.
Yeah, and the documentary Going Clear is one of the points that I brought up to Kevin or Eon before the show was that the documentary tries to say that Miscavige was just like some guy that started in the mailroom and worked his way up through Scientology and then just all of a sudden took over, like forced his way into the top. And from all of the accounts that I've read, that's exactly wrong. So I mean, because David Miscavige, basically his parents got into Scientology, and by the time he was 12 years old, he was an auditor already. So he's like a Scientology prodigy. Like his parents probably spent enormous amounts of money to get him to be a auditor. Someone who helps people come into the church and cleanses them and purifies them and gets them down the path to practitioner.
To
Um,
total freedom.
yeah, and then by like 16, he's doing like other, he's what was, I think it was in Sea Org. Like he was like the head of Sea Org or something like that.
Yeah, the
By the time
Sea
he was
Org. Yeah.
16.
Yeah, now what's the Sea Org? The Sea Org is they were like this special group that L. Ron Hubbard created as kind of like they're almost like volunteers. They don't get paid very much. They sign a 1 billion year contract to the church. So every rebirth, they're going to be back in there helping again.
Yep.
And they got this boat, and L. Ron Hubbard and his Sea Org people, they just cruised around on this boat. They would go to certain countries. They kind of cause a stir and get kicked out.
Yeah,
Um,
they're spreading Scientology.
yeah, they're dropping Scientology around the world, man. Um, now, along the way there, obviously they're claiming to be a church this whole time, so they don't have to pay taxes. They don't think, but the IRS decided that they did have to pay taxes. So they told them they owed them like $1 billion.
Oh yeah, it was $1 billion.
It was $1 billion, yeah,
Yeah.
and Scientology didn't really wink an eye at that. Instead, they opened up like over 2,400 lawsuits against the IRS as an organization, against personal, employees of the IRS. They did everything they could to basically go right back at it under what they call fair game. And then, sure enough, the IRS backed down, and
Yeah, the head of the IRS was like so scared of them that they had a meeting together, and Miscavige told the head of the IRS, if you give us religious status, then all your lawsuits go away. And he didn't believe it, and he asked one of the uh, people with Miscavige of the Scientology group, was he serious when he said that? And the guy said, yeah, absolutely, 100% serious. And so, like, not long after that, they were given religious status, and all the lawsuits went away.
yeah, exactly. So now they can just bring in all the profits they need and never have to pay any taxes on any of it. They have to be.
But I mean, in Scientology's defense, they are like they're worshiping a god, and they are spiritual beings, just like any Christian church would be. Christian church believes you're a spiritual being, that you're going to go to heaven when you die. So, I mean, they are sort of a religion, but the fact that they had to go through all that crap to do it is kind of
It's kind of interesting.
ridiculous. Yeah.
The Mormons, they had some problems too, trying to get their religion up and going. They had some hate. Now, what gives them the ability to not pay taxes, though, is actually because it's assumed and possibly required, should be required, that they have to do like charitable
Oh, right.
organizations to give back with that money that they're not paying in taxes. And Scientology claims to do, I mean, completely fantastic things around the world when you go to their website and you look at what they're claiming to do. Now, I haven't been there in person to see whether or not that's actually happening, but they say that, they were the first at Katrina, and they were, They were the first there. They're the first on all these scenes, and people always just try to ignore them and act like they don't really do anything and they're weird. Um, and then there's Tom Cruise.
Right out of the gate, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Well, you hear Scientology, and people usually respond with Tom Cruise and South Park.
Yeah, the South Park is what I remember the most. And then, yeah, then when we watch Going Clear has like a first 10 minutes or something based on like John Travolta, or the first like person that they call out in the celebrity area. And I never knew that John Travolta was actually a Scientologist. I didn't know that at all. It's
Oh yeah.
I think they're just like Tom Cruise is the biggest star in the world. Men and women like Tom Cruise, and they just push him to the front. Like he's. And then what was it like? He was on ABC or NBC. Had a controversial interview where he was just sound like he was really going berserk.
Oh yeah. He had a few of those in a row where he was on Matt Lauer. He was on a few different talk shows, and he was acting kind of manic, really,
Yeah.
kind of gung ho, real preachy. I think he had was it Brooke Shields had just had a baby and was mentioning, I guess, that she had had postpartum depression and how the psychiatric medication she took really helped her through that. And Tom Cruise basically said that like no, it didn't help her, and that she was like misled and all this stuff. And then she came back at him, and
Huh.
there was all this battle. You can find all the drama on YouTube.
Yeah. So and then they talk like in the documentary Going Clear. They talk about Kidman, Nicole Kidman, or and then like their breakup was due to Scientology. But then there was they were trying to set Tom Cruise up with another woman that was in Scientology, and she was a star of Homeland or a star in the
Right.
TV show Showtime TV show Homeland. But that didn't work out for some reason. But I don't think they talked about the Dawson's Creek girl. What was her?
Oh
Um,
yeah, Katie
Katie
Holmes,
Holmes.
and they actually had a child.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what that was. They didn't talk about that at all. So they just kind of like skipped over that, probably by choice. But I don't know if
Now,
she's in Scientology or not. Probably not.
well, no, okay. So first off, Nicole Kidman, his first wife, her dad is like some kind of big elite Australian guy
Yeah,
who
that's
just
right.
recently died. And I remember hearing David Icke going on and on about how he was part of some huge like pedophile ring and all this stuff. So anyway, he just died. So he was apparently Illuminati. So
Right.
you had the daughter of the Illuminati marrying the son, the Messiah of the Scientology movement. So that's kind of a cool connection. The Katie Holmes, as far as I know, she wasn't Scientologist at first, but she converted over with Tom, and she was a Scientologist for a little while, but then she got away from it. And I think the tabloids kind of made it out to be that that's why she got away from it, or why she got away from Tom is because she didn't want to be a Scientologist anymore. But you know, obviously you can't believe the tabloids 100%. And then yeah, there's that lady you're talking about. They tried to set him up with her, but then it was just like it was all for show.
Right.
Tom, now Scientology, like a lot of religions, states that being homosexual is not correct. It's wrong, and I guess it's part of your scrambled mind. So it's also been rumored that Tom Cruise, as well as John Travolta, are both homosexuals. Now I'm not sure if that's true or not. I don't see how it doesn't
And
really
again,
matter in my
again, like
mind, but
no, me either. But again, like the word Scientology, you would think, well, of course they're gonna allow gays. I mean, gays in their organization because it's just like it's non-denominational. Like you're not. This isn't Jesus. It's not like books in the Bible that tell you that you're gonna get stoned if you're gay or something, whatever. They should, of course, they're gonna allow gays and lesbians and transsexuals in the organization. And then you find out they don't. You're like, WTF, man? Well, I mean, get, this is like, it's not like an ancient religion either. This is like 1950s, yo. I mean,
Yes.
this is a modern religion, and you're telling people, gay people, they can't be in your religion.
I guess it's assumed by Hubbard that everyone's welcome in because when you're welcomed in, you got all these problems with your brain. But it's assumed by, I don't know, maybe it's in Hubbard's writings or something that
Maybe he's a
being
homophobe.
gay, being gay is like part of your scrambled brain problem, and it's one of the things you got to fix. I've heard I've heard Christians claim that they know gay people that you know ask God to make them straight and stuff, and they
It worked.
did.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that happens, but um,
Well, I mean, this. So I mean,
I mean, I
there's bisexual people that could be like,
sure,
you know what I mean? Like, there's different variations and different levels of, um, your perception of what gay and lesbian and transsexual is. Like,
yeah,
there's people that will like literally have a surgery to change their sexuality. I mean, that's a
sure.
high level of homosexuality in my. I mean, I might be just
Yeah,
like talking out my ass too, but I don't really know.
yeah, and I mean, and who really cares if people are gay? Like, I mean, whatever. That's
Yeah, it
stupid.
does. Yeah, true.
Um, Now they also have Narcanon, which is a like an anti-narcotics drug abuse clinic that L. Ron Hubbard has created. I'm sure some would say it's just a gateway drug into Scientology. I've heard that AA is also an introduction into Freemason, so this is kind of similar. This has also been compared to Freemasonry, whereas you climb this bridge up to these different levels. Where in Freemason, you go up to the 33 and a third level
Right.
as well. And there's a lot of and the same with the same sacred, secret knowledge and information. I'm sure with Freemason there is money involved.
Well, I mean, they have those lodges that you see in every city. And those are masonry lodges.
Yeah,
So yeah, they here's a some my wife's family had some masons in her tree, and one of the wives got it like he joined the masonry. They do have dues, and I don't think it's too much. Like I don't think it's that much. But like when you're richer, if you get a lot more money when you're older, you get to pay a lot more. But they have these lodges, and some masons came up to her once they got married, and he was in um, into the lodge, and they came up to her and they said, "Well, he's in the lodge now. If you get divorced, you'll be taken care of the rest of your life. So don't worry about any of that." And sure enough, a few years later, he wants a divorce, or they get a divorce, or whatever, and they offer her money for the rest of her life. And she said, "I don't want any of his money. Get away from me," which could be a one-sided story, but supposedly it's a club, and if you're in it, you're good. So that might be some
yeah.
little insider knowledge about that, of the masonry. I've never heard anyone say that, and I've never read it anywhere else. But I'm not a masonry scholar either.
I'm certainly no scholar.
And but there are levels that parallel of you having to attain levels is exactly like that Mormon kind of
Yep,
stuff, and yeah,
attaining levels of secret information.
yeah. I mean,
Information is revealed only in times where you can comprehend it because
well,
of your higher level.
that's the thing with like the internet these days is that you can just call like people's BS real quick. You can, I mean, yeah, if you want to get to Masonry 33rd level, I'm sure there's shit out there that you can just like, okay, what's the secret about 33rd level? And within like 2 sentences, it can be summed up. Somebody's already summed it up, or the documents have been leaked. The only thing that's hasn't been leaked at this point is like secret government stuff. That they're keeping secret somehow. and that's
Yeah, for now.
they're not even keeping a tight belt on that because like contractors are leaking 400,000 documents, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
all the secrets.
information wants to be free.
Yeah. Well, we live in the unique country in the world, you know, that where people are like value the freedom um,
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
that we have. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like we're talking about, we have freedom, but these people have to go through like years, like 50 years of trying to get religious status when they're a religion. I mean, they're legitimately a religion, and then like IRS controls becomes a religion and who doesn't, unless you really threaten them in public. So I mean, it's wacky, this place that we live.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept, the whole religion thing. Now, there was that. There's the rumored quote from L. Ron Hubbard that what do you say? Something about the fastest way to make $1 million is to start your own religion. And of course, the church denies that he ever said that.
Oh yeah.
And if he did say that, then he was quite successful in his
You made a little bit more than a
doing
million. Yeah, but you can't take
a
it
little
with you,
bit more than 1 million.
Mr. Hubbard.
Now, I'm always impressed with somebody who can put their mind to something and achieve it, no matter what it is, whether it's bad or whether it's good or whatever. So I would have to give it up to him as being impressive as an individual for being very diligent and creative in coming up with this system.
So speaking of summing it all up in like a couple sentences, we know that a few people have made it to the top levels of Scientology, and a couple of them are in the movie, the documentary.
Yes.
And they talk about the Dianetics. They started off at the bottom. They've gone through all the levels. They reached the top, and then what happens when they get to the top? Eon.
Well, I don't know if it's exactly the top, but it's way up close to the top. Because yeah, once you go through certain, you go through all these crazy named levels and stuff, but then you start to get into the OT levels, which is what they call the operating Thetan. So meaning that the Thetan is you. I don't think we talked about this yet, right?
We have
The
not.
eternal spirit that is you is called a Thetan. And once you get to the OT levels, you are now an operating Thetan, assuming that you are clear of all engrams, and therefore you can grasp like higher truths and knowledge. And apparently, these are the classes that get really expensive as well. But yeah, once you start getting up into those OT levels, at one point, one of the guys in the documentary said they gave him like this briefcase, and they said that the information he was going to read was actually like handwritten by L. Ron Hubbard himself. And he opens it up and he starts reading about it, and that's when he hears about the stuff they talked about on South Park, where there's like this intergalactic overlord named Xenu who had basically like enslaved, and I don't know the exact story because it doesn't really matter to me, but they like enslaved some aliens and killed them and put them in a volcano and blew it up, and somehow all those little aliens spirits, which are also Thetans, like have attached to us and
I mean, it's like
are all
a, it's
over
like
us or
a,
something.
it's like you can see the books that he used to write in that story. Like I think he just took like his most outlandish story that it couldn't get published, and then said, "This is the top of Scientology."
Yep.
Like it's easy for some people to get behind the ancient aliens theory that like we were planted here, um, millions of years ago by an alien race, and we've evolved to what we are today with tight control or something like that. But when you start talking about like the pulling spirits out of other beings, transporting them across the the galaxies, and then planting them in a volcano so the volcano will explode and spread those spirits across the Earth as a prison planet. You're like, what? You could have come up with something less like unbelievable. I mean, you're a story writer, you know? Like, come on,
Yeah,
bro.
it's pretty far out. I think the guy in the documentary was wondering if it was a test to see if he believed it. Like he's like
Yeah.
if I call it bluff, if I call its bluff, do I pass? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
how
he
do
was
you
kind
react
of
to this? And he probably had like 2 or 3 minutes to react to it. You know, people are watching him from the sidelines, and he's like, "What the fuck decision do I make here? Oh my god!"
but at the same time, you know, you've gone that far into it, you believe in this process so much. I'm sure there's plenty of people who hear that and they're just like, you know, not too phased by it. It's not too far fetched compared to some of the other religions' claims of, you know, origins of the universe and different. I mean, there's some pretty amazing far out claims in other religions. They're not quite so sci-fi and intergalactic, but you
Yeah,
know,
every time I
same
read
time.
every time I read a new and different book, I just like, people think of just something different. People will make up an alien story just because it's different, and then they'll come forward with a new alien story. Go, yeah, this happened to me, and people will latch onto it just because it's never been heard before. And you can't really call BS on it because you weren't there, and it can't be proven by science or measured or anything like that. So, people come up with all kinds of crazy shit. And I think that is part of the top level of Scientology. Is like, I mean, you can't prove any of this unless an alien comes and abducts you and then tells you the same exact story. Only you have that personal account of that happening. And then even then, they'll place you back in your bed and you'll wake up and think, was that a damn dream or what? So I mean, the things that they say absolutely cannot be proven, and they probably never will.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, do
it's baffling.
they? Hold on, I'm hearing some music. Do you hear my music? No.
I hear nothing.
Hey, so I guess they believe there's life on other planets, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
I would assume so. I mean, somehow we got. They say we weren't originally from planet Earth; that we were brought here. So
Apparently, there's no gay life though on
no.
any other planet. Yeah,
Well, there is gay life, but it's just because of the engrams.
they got to procreate if they want more followers. So
This is true. Well, now what's weird though is that they don't seem to like. They're not big fans of children though. Children kind of seem to be a bit of a hassle to them, you know.
well, that's not
Yeah,
something that they
child
brought up in
labor
that documentary.
laws.
Yeah, they didn't bring up kids in the system that much in that documentary. If you think about it.
I read that the church actually for what the church is trying to do, kids are really kind of in the way, and they try to talk women into having abortions.
Oh, yummy.
I read that. Now, like I said, everything I'm telling you is just things I read on the internet
Yeah, it
and I
might,
hear
may or may
people
not be
say on YouTube.
right.
It's a very secretive religion, so the only way you're ever going to find out is if A, you join the religion and go in there and check it out yourself, or if you know, read this crazy stuff that we read. But if you go to Scientology's website, which is quite impressive, by the way,
Oh, they got money to spend. That's for sure.
I mean, they are going to tell you that there is nothing bad about this. That this is the best thing ever. You know, they got some good graphic design here. I'll give them that. I've even seen like commercials on TV,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Well, they showed a scene on the documentary where they had the Scientology building, which is purple and ugly, by the way. Oh my God, what
It's
a
very
what a horrendous building that is.
that is an ugly building.
But then they show like these arrows like pointing down at other buildings in the surrounding area that are all Scientologies. And I was
Right.
like, whoa, they got like they're not just like making 90 or $100 million. There are billions of dollars a year probably coming into this place. They have, all these buildings around the world, and they have this compound in Southern California that's like just for celebrities to learn at. Or not just celebrities, but actors and singers and writers and all these, the arts. And the compound is like lush and green in a desert. It looks like an oasis, and lots of trees and a river running through it, and it's super nice. And there's videos on YouTube about taking tours through it, which is super. It's really cool. 4-star restaurants, big old huge theaters. So they got loot to spend, and they're they're bringing enough recruits apparently that they can send people off to Scientology. And I watched a really good video on YouTube about how they target entertainment industry, actors and writers and playwrights and things like that. And that one was called Inside the Scientology Celebrity Center, and it had hundreds of thousands of views. It was super popular. The only thing with it is 2.5 hours long, but you'll get the gist of most everything like the first hour. And the kid talks about, the guy's probably 25, but he was really into Scientology for a few years. He talks about what a big business it is and how much money, how they really squeezed out every dime out of him, and had him open new lines of credit to buy books.
Wow.
And it was a wild story. And like they would pull him into the office and say, "You really have to buy these books. Like you're going to the next level. You need to, you know, this series of books is $3,000. Can we call your dad? Can we call your grandmother? Let's call the credit card companies and see if they'll extend your credit. You're paying your bills." And they did all that. They would do it for it. Like while he's sitting there, they'd call the credit card companies. If you don't give us the number, or we'll just have to put you through the purification process, which is, I think, is like a training camp. This purification. I think we were talking about this before the show, Ian, about the purification and how you had to go on strict diet, hit the exercise, and sauna for a total like 6 or 8 hours a day. They're fasting you at some points. You're cleaning. They keep you busy. And I think they use that purification process to keep you in line in Scientology. You need these books. Let's pay for them. Otherwise, we're gonna have to purify your mind a little bit more and make you see the light.
See the light.
So that video, Inside the Scientology Celebrity Center, it's on YouTube. It's 2.5 hours long. I watched most of it. I still haven't watched the very end of it, but I'm gonna get there because I wanted to hear what he said. And he describes it as like a big pyramid scheme, except that when you bring new people in, you don't get paid.
Yeah, it's I forgot what I was gonna say.
But it's and he goes on to like do the math. So he does the math. He says, there's like 240 lessons. Each one costs $3,000 or so. I mean, you're paying more than $1 million to go up both lines of the bridge. And when you're someone who might make $40,000 a year or even less, maybe you live with someone in their house and you're making $15,000 or $16,000. They'll take every penny that you make.
Now, can't you basically join the organization in exchange for, you basically work for free, and then you just get the classes for free as well, I believe, like the Sea Org type stuff?
I think that's only with Sea Org.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding.
I wonder if you could just, here's what I wanted. I thought it'd be cool, man, is to just, and I'm sure they'd say this is not correct, but it'd be cool to, get an e-meter and then just read some of the books and stuff, and then just try to do it yourself.
How much is an e-meter?
I saw them on eBay, and none of them on eBay are going to be, the church does not approve anybody to own one.
Oh, they don't approve. That's too bad.
I know they. Well, so that's the thing. They don't approve of it, but then you got to wonder on are these legit or are these like fake e-meters?
Hell
But
yeah,
they're
somebody will get those into a lab and just show. There's probably a video already out there, or a blog that says, "Hey, you know what? I got one of these e-meters. I compared it to the yada yada, and it's complete horse."
I mean, it's basically a an ohmage resistance meter. Here it is for 350.
Ooh, dang!
Here's one for $1,200.
Holy cow!
500. The ones that they were showing on that documentary, they were kind of cool, like old vintage ones. It looked like some of them are actually kind of stupid looking. If you go on eBay and look at them, I mean that's the thing. I'd like to have one to play with, but I don't want to be paying
No,
this kind of money.
yeah,
Here's I like this refurbished. Like you get a refurbished e-meter.
yeah. It probably shoots electric currents into you instead of measures
Yeah.
out.
Now there was also people I heard that were claiming that they swore that the auditor had the ability to control the meter. So if you say, "Oh, nothing's bothering me," they'll make the meter go up.
Yeah,
They're like, "What are you lying about?" Like I'm not lying about anything, and the meter goes up. Like and they like mess with your head. Um,
oh, I'm sure.
brainwashing is a term you hear associated with Scientology quite a bit. They have been said to convince you to like, you know, not talk to your family or what they call suppressive people. They call them the SP. So yeah, like he's an SP. You should probably avoid him. You should disconnect them from your life.
Yeah, disconnection was the word. That's the key word.
Disconnection.
You need to disconnect from them.
We need you to disconnect because they're a suppressive person or a what is it? PTS, a potential trouble source.
Who was that? Which one was that guy that was in the documentary who woke up? His entire family was in the documentary, like in the Scientology, and he woke up and said, I'm leaving the church," and so the church went around and told all his entire family not to talk to him, and now he's like excommunicated, and he's like the rich, like powerful one. You remember
Right.
that guy?
Yeah, yeah. They don't want him talking.
Yeah. So, and he's the one that was giving him all the money.
Yeah, it's like he got his whole family on board, and then he's out, and they're like, "All right, see you later. You
Brah.
got us on board, dude."
Hit the road, brah.
Man, I just found this one really cool, like vintage e-meter here on eBay for $250. I can buy it now.
But yeah, you can buy it now on eBay, right?
Yeah,
Just click the button. Come on.
it looks really cool, man.
Just click
Hey,
it.
to our listeners, if you guys want to give us some PayPal donations to raise money for me and Dookie Royale to get an e-meter, and so we can play with it
Let's just start a
work on
Kickstarter.
auditing sessions. This kind of reminds me of like the early Apple computer, where it's just like made out of this cheesy wooden box.
So they have new versions of the e-meter. I saw in one of the videos, and it looked pretty futuristic.
Yeah, the new stuff, sure, yeah. They got these like cheesy early '90s ones that look terrible though.
Yeah, they're like two. Uh, what are you? What is it? Whenever you're like running a relay? Oh, it's like those relay batons. Like when you're running a relay race, and you hand off the baton. They're like metal.
Yeah, those
That's
are
what
the
they look like.
cones.
They look like metal batons. And
But
you
no,
hold
no,
one in each hand.
those aren't the e-meters. Those are the cones you hold on to.
Right, exactly. That's what's measuring your
Yeah.
levels. But the e-meter, yeah, I know what you mean though. The meter shows the pulses and stuff.
Oh, here's another cool one. I really would like to have one of. I think it'd be cool to go to like a Scientology museum and see all these like relics. And it's all. So that's what's crazy to me though. Like all this stuff we're talking about, it's all out of this one guy's mind. Like this dude was something, man. This
right.
guy, he just came up with this stuff.
It would be different if he said that it was disseminated to him through the Akashic record or something. You know what I mean?
Right,
like
like it was. Yeah, like it was channeled or something. Right.
exactly, like Seth
Yeah.
and Jane Roberts or something.
Yeah, he does not claim anything like that. He's just like, I've developed this over my travels and my high intellect.
Or what's
And
the like the Book of Revelation, at least in like the Bible? You know, a lot of that was visions and
those total visions, yeah, spirit channeling, basically.
channeling. Yeah, yeah. That, you know, predicted the future.
Now he was. They did state in that documentary that he was friends with Aleister Crowley,
Yeah, psychopath.
who is, yeah, very interesting. Who's rumored to be Barbara Bush's father, actually.
Wow,
Whether that's true or not, I,
I've never heard
you know,
that.
I'm just repeating. I'm just repeating what I've heard.
Reptilian line.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I've heard. He was involved with all these people around the Los Angeles area there in the 50s who practiced this black art sex magic. Another interesting guy from that that scene was named Jack Parsons,
Yeah.
and he was not only one of the top Satanists in that what they call the OTO group, but he also revolutionized jet propulsion. So
Huh.
that's a whole interesting discussion. It goes in another direction.
Yeah, because some people. Yeah, I know. Understood. I won't get into that.
Um, Also, I mean, in the 70s, we kind of talked about that with the Bohemian Grove, though, but just that whole region of the world, some interesting stuff coming out of that time. There was another guy that actually there was a couple other people that met with Hubbard early on. They were kind of into his Dianetic stuff, but they kind of had some different opinions and views, and of course that wasn't gonna work. So they split ways and started their own little kind of similar systems or religions, if you will.
Now, I wonder what the differences or correlations were between like David Koresh and Scientology. Like, why couldn't David Koresh's Waco people be a religion, but Scientology can? Like, I don't understand it. I don't know what Waco
Well,
was really,
well, David
but
Koresh's people were a religion, but and there's a lot of theories on what went on there, I guess. But
sure.
the I guess the reason Elron and his group got along better was because they weren't like they didn't have a bunch of weapons.
Yeah, and those weapons that aren't illegal to own
It's
in your
correct.
on your own property.
Yeah, that was pretty dicey, man. That whole David Koresh thing. Now we were talking about it earlier, though, before the podcast, how Scientology has all these claims about, if you try to leave the church, they're gonna run a smear campaign on you. They're gonna stalk you. They're gonna disassociate you from your friends and family. But you never hear of any sex like issues, like molesting or pedophilia or rape. I haven't really heard a lot of that going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are. So, I mean, that's the whole deal because you can sue someone for saying that they raped you without it being proven, right? So, I mean, it could be happening, but nobody's ever been arrested. Probably nobody's ever been accused. Um, maybe maybe out of fear. I mean, Bill Cosby. We might find out that 10 years down the road that Miscavige required every person over OT3 or something to have sex with him.
It's true.
Anally. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
That's
Um,
true.
so it could be going on. And being a weird science. I mean, look at Catholicism. Catholicism, some people say.
Catholicism.
Um, they had their whole boy thing going on.
Catholicism.
Yeah, and nobody knew that for a long time. That happened for hundreds of years.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty rampant. Now,
Pretty gross.
you kind of wonder though, as Scientology grows, will it become more accepted? Will it get to the point where people don't despise it and think it's weird anymore, and possibly like
I don't think so.
A presidential nominee will be up there.
Because I don't think so. Because this documentary is now the masses have seen it. I mean, SNL even did a skit about it. Um, last week. So I mean, it's out there now. Like before, it was just people like, oh, I've had a bad experience. I had to spend a lot of money. People, other people outside the church might be like, well, it won't happen to me. I got a strong mind. So they didn't really think it was a big deal. Now this documentary's out. Millions of people have seen it already. Um, the Scientology is backpedaling big time, and I wouldn't doubt to see like Miscavige be replaced by someone else. But that's neither here nor there. I think they're going to lose a lot of money initially, and then they'll have to, build it back up over the next decade or so. And then people will forget about it, and another couple of documentaries will come out and blast them. And then who knows, in the future, we might just have, uh, technology that allows us to call on spirits and read minds. And then the Scientology will just be quashed forever. The BS meter will go straight off the charts, and they'll be blown to smithereens, figuratively.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. This documentary comes out and it exposes all this stuff, and it's like a big deal, but then it goes away. I mean, I've seen these waves a few times with Scientology. Every few years, there's some big thing, some video comes out. Like you said, Tom Cruise was jumping on a couch on TV,
Yeah.
and that was a big deal a while back. But people, it's amazing how people forget, like what's current, what's happening. Is yesterday's news all of a sudden, and then before you know it, it just fades away. With the
I'll
right
never
amount of
walk into I'll
marketing.
never walk into a Scientology place because of what I saw.
Oh, you should go check it out, man.
Hell no,
Just go in there, man. Just get their pamphlet.
ain't gonna happen.
They'll give you a pamphlet. I got this pamphlet. What is that noise?
It was your dogs.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got this one pamphlet. It's called like the Way of Happiness. Now, what's interesting about the Way of Happiness is that it's actually distributed by another group. You can go to thewayofhappiness.org. And it's just like this really kind of friendly little happy. I'm actually loading the website right now. It's just this little pamphlet, quick read, tells you, things you can do to make your life better and happier, and gives you some links to some things. But it's written by L. Ron Hubbard, and it doesn't say anything about Scientology, which is kind of interesting. I guess it's one of those things for people who are going to be scared away by the word Scientology.
Yeah, this whole subject. There's a lot to fit into a documentary, so it's really mind like you're not watching it at leisure. You're watching it as an education. But then you start looking at other stuff. Like you can go on for hours and hours and days reading all the other stuff about it. And these L. Ron Hubbard. Obviously he's super smart. I mean, he wrote 1,010 books or something like that. It wasn't like 1,010 or 1,001. And
Something.
yeah, it was some ridiculous number. That's what he did for a living. He wrote stuff. So he's gonna write this huge volume. He doesn't want it to be all for naught. So he creates a religion. Some people latch onto it. They get their friends to latch onto it, and then all of a sudden it blows out. I mean, they showed some really crazy video clips of L. Ron Hubbard. I was watching him like, this guy's got mental issues. Like he's a guy, he needs to drink his own water.
He's a character, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it reminded me of some people that I've met that were just psychos.
Yeah, it's one thing to read his writings and just hear what he's saying, but when you actually see him sitting there talking,
Well, some people describe all this stuff he's talking about as just like great universal truths, like that everyone should live by in the beginning, right? But then it gets into the I don't know what the mid levels can be because it just ramps you up. And I mean, I would never hang with something for years and years and years and not know what the final.
mm-mm.
I mean, phew.
I think I could just get to the point where I just get to the clear, and I'm like, all right, well, that was cool, guys. Thanks for getting me clear. See ya.
Well, I mean, how long do you
And
hang with meditation before you give it up because you didn't transcend? You know what
oh,
I mean?
that's true. Yeah, I guess it's like a practice. And from what I hear, once you get cleared, it's kind of like going to the chiropractor or something. Like new things happen.
You
You
got to go
get to
back
have
and take the lessons again.
yeah, you got to get a little refresher. You got to keep getting re-cleared because like it gets it's like your drain gets clogged and you can feel it like you're clear and then something happens and oh I'm not clear. I need to go for my little session. So
Kind of
that's
like,
no different than going to your shrink, your little therapist or whatever.
yeah, I mean, those therapists can rope you in for years too. I need to see you next week. We
Oh
got some stuff
yeah,
to work in. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so it's really very similar to that. But church is the same too. I mean, you kind of got to go. People that are serious about that are going Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, all the
So,
time.
I mean, there was a parallel that I was talking to you about because we did a food episode and we talked about how I'm vegan. I don't eat many things, but I was talking about this guy that is really famous in raw foods. I won't mention his name, but he because he sues people.
Oh, okay.
So I won't say his name. But a lot of people, people that are into the food movement know who he is. But it was, listening to people talking about Scientology, and I was like, man, that guy that's in the raw food movement sounds just like these Scientology people. Like exactly like, for instance, raw foodists, they want you to detox all the toxins out of your body, and it takes 21 days is your first level, 3 months is the next one. And once you eat raw foods for at least 6 months or so, you're pretty much your hormones level back out and you're kind of cleansed. But the purification process is the exact same thing. Oh, and then like if you get a headache because you're detoxing, you don't take any pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are bad. They'll never don't ever touch them. If you feel bad, it's just because of the detoxing, things like that. And that's exactly what Scientology says. And they've been preaching purification for decades. So, and I was thinking, then this guy, I bought his book when I first got into raw foods, and it's like the exact same phrases they're using in Scientology. This guy is using in his raw foods books. Now, I'm not saying raw foods are bad because they've done amazing things for me, but
It
just
might
I
be
guess the sell,
Scientology.
and he's not selling. He wasn't selling much at the beginning. Now he's got like site after site after site selling things, but you can't really raw foods themselves aren't sellable. Like, I mean, you can't make profits off foods that are in the grocery stores that are made by thousands of different farmers. But so the concept really does work. It makes you a better person. You think clearer, but they are trying to sell you something. Scientology is trying to sell you something. They're trying to get you in the door. They want you to stay as long as possible, but they can't sell you spirituality. Like that's just something you have as an intrinsic human being, as a thinking human being, as someone who feels energies and has emotions. They can't really take that from you, but they'll play on it and they'll, have you work your professional life to pay for their luxuries.
Yeah, and they'll make you feel like you're getting something out of it. Either way. I mean,
You
it's
are. You're
like
getting an encyclopedia of books.
you're getting a lot of books. It's like a placebo effect. I mean, if you want to feel like you're achieving higher levels of consciousness, and you're paying this money with your hard-earned money, and you got all this, you just it's gonna happen. You're gonna feel something. It's like a religion. All religions. I mean, you believe it so much, and you want to feel it. You're gonna feel it. It's gonna happen.
I don't want to feel
Of course, you
Scientology.
can. The thing is you can go out in the woods and get that feeling too.
Right.
which is probably where Hubbard figured it out anyway, just by himself sitting in the woods. He's like, oh yeah, I can just do this and that, and
Speaking of going in the woods, did you hear about that guy in like Connecticut or New Hampshire that was in the woods for like 30 years and never got caught? He was like stealing things from people's houses, like their backyards, and for decades.
no,
Yeah, he lived in like a semi-populated wooded area, like out in the, almost like he was homeless, but he was out in the wilderness. He said one day he just drove out. I can't even remember what the guy's name is, but it was. You can probably just search it, like man arrested for stealing.
woodsman.
Woodman, yeah. So he drove. He just like decided he was gonna check out when he was like 18, and he drove his car out to the end of one road, turned left on another road, went to the end of that road, turned left on the on another road. And then when that road ended, he was way out in the wilderness, and he just left his car sitting there, and still no one ever found it. He said like after a couple of years, he went back to the car and it was still there. um,
Man,
yeah, so he went down a really rural road, but he it was like so he lived in like the center of this group of houses that were like miles and miles apart, right? So the next house would be a few miles, the next house would be a few miles after that. So he'd target a house for a couple of days. He'd just walk in their doors because most of them would leave them unlocked, and he would take like a few cans of food, and the rest of it he got foraging. And he just lived out in the woods, didn't talk to anybody for decades. And one day, a guy noticed that a couple cans of food were missing from his pantry, and then the next day he noticed something like a gas tank was missing out of his backyard, a propane tank or something. And so he set up a video camera or something and saw the guy like come in his house. So he just stayed home one day, and here comes the dude. He called the cops on him. They arrested him, and they found out who he was and how long he'd been gone, and it became a huge news story, at least in that area.
huh?
It was pretty funny. But yeah, speaking of being in the woods
Far,
forever.
man. Out in the woods. Hey, so I got a list of some Scientology celebrities here.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Okay, now this list, and I think I've looked at this list before. It's some of these people aren't necessarily like members, but they've been to some stuff. They've taken some classes. Kirstie Alley, of course, she was on Cheers.
Yeah, but her and John Travolta were in a movie, right? I
I'm
wonder
sure
if that's
they
where.
were.
Yeah, it was like a 3 Men and a Baby era.
Oh
They
yeah,
were in, they were in some movie together.
Were they in three? They were in 3 Men and a Baby, weren't they?
I don't know, was it?
I think it was that movie actually.
Okay.
Catherine Bell, I think she's an actress.
Yeah, yeah.
Sonny Bono,
Wow.
yeah, Sonny Bono, man, Scientologist. Chick Corea, who is a musician, pretty amazing musician. Tom Cruise goes without saying.
Yeah.
A lot of these Jenna Elfman, Richard Elfman, Bodie Elfman, I'm assuming they're all related. Doug E. Fresh.
Ooh. Big one.
How about this guy? Little musician named Beck.
You're a Beck fan.
I love Beck, man. Yeah, he's very talented. A lot of names here I'm looking at I don't recognize. Jason Lee.
Yo, Beck, I'm gonna let you have this one, but respect the artists.
That's right. Yo. So Jason Lee, you know Jason Lee, right? The guy that played
Yeah.
Everybody Loves. What's his name? Earl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny to watch that Goofy show.
Yeah, I love
Juliette
that show.
Lewis. Yeah, it was funny.
Oh, Juliette Lewis. Wow.
Juliette Lewis. Let's see who else we got here. Giovanni Ribisi, who's actually the brother-in-law of Beck.
You know, vegan people do the same thing. Like I went to a vegan restaurant not long ago, and they have like this big wall of vegans, celebrity vegans.
Oh yeah, they're all about it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the wall going, okay, that guy's not a vegan anymore. They tried it once. This one tried it once. Never even saw this person on the list. I'm pretty sure that person's not a vegan. So the Scientology thing, like they're associating people that might have attended something because their friend wanted them to, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, and
But
there's elements of veganism that are a little culty and preachy, of course, like a religion.
yeah,
Lisa Marie Presley. Also, apparently, while in prison, Charles Manson studied and claimed to be a Scientologist.
he must be clear.
He's probably OT8 by now. Oh, and Paul Twitchell is interesting on the list. That's the guy I was one of the guys I was talking about who broke away and created a church called Eckankar, which has also been running some ads on TV.
Yeah, I did hear about that one.
Eckankar is cool. It's kind of Scientology-ish, but not.
Oh,
It's like not
you know what I got
Scientology.
into? I got into looking into was how many people on the earth think they're Jesus, like the rein
Think they're
not
actually Jesus, huh?
the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah,
And
sure.
there's a few cults like in the United States that follow a particular dude or two or three that have like 2 or 3 thousand people that really believe he's Jesus, and they're trying to tell the rest of the world
Well,
that their guy's Jesus.
well, I'll tell you the problem with that is that I'm Jesus.
Dude, I've been trying to tell people forever. I'm fucking Jesus.
Well, we know Jesus wouldn't say the F word, so
No, he would because he tried to get rid of the merchants. He's not all about the money either, so he had to cuss at the merchants, but it didn't work. You
he's
know,
not all about the Benjamins.
no, he's not.
Not like L. Ron Hubbard.
He's evil. He's not paying his taxes. I wonder what Jesus would be jailed right now because he didn't pay the taxes for living his living taxes.
That's right.
You were born in a
Jail him.
manger. I need health insurance, dude. You can't be born in a manger without health insurance.
So I guess with Scientology, there's not like a God per se where you're like worshiping God. I think it's more the idea where you get clear to the point where you kind of see what God is through reality or something. You know,
Right. There's not like a. I guess you can't
like you
nail
can't
down.
understand
That's what I'm
God.
saying. Like, there's no like word of God that
No,
Scientology has. There's no word of God. There's no like Jesus is the Son of God. There's nothing. There's no like.
it's kind of like Buddhism where there's no God, but yet
There's a
through the
God, but no
practice you
God.
kind of get a greater understanding of what the word God could mean.
Correct.
Which I like that. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of realization type stuff.
I'm a fan of pure energy light. Is probably the God that people are referring to.
Pure energy light.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, there's just an energy that controls spirit world realms, and that's probably the
Yeah, it's clear light. It's conscious. It's pure conscious life force, and it's love,
right.
and it's uplifting, and it's warm, and it causes orgasm
Sure. Why not?
because it's awesome. Um. Anyway, is that about it?
I think so. All the notes I have written down, we pretty much obliterated each one and talked about them all. No, we didn't. One last thing. So, at the end of this documentary, they talk about the hole. And the hole is where you have intense orgasms. No, I'm just kidding. It's where people that tried to get out of Scientology. Oh, I don't even know what the story was, but the executives ended up in this hole that Scientology owns. It's like in a corporate business park. And they kept them in this hole for like forever, for ages. I don't know, months or years or whatever. I don't know if they ever let them out, if they brought food to them. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but apparently they got mentally tortured in this place. Allegedly. I don't really know. But they, playing ridiculous games with them, like musical chairs, and what was a famous incident where they were doing musical chairs to Bohemian Rhapsody, and emphasizing that nothing really matters part. So like when
That's kind of funny.
they just like repeat it, it would be like nothing really matters, nothing really matters, and then they would stop it at some point, and everybody had to jump in their chairs, and there were people like pushing and punching and hitting, trying to get in that one chair so they could get outside. And then whenever they did, they ended up winning the game. They didn't get outside.
Nope.
So it was a cruel game. But yeah, that was like the biggest bombshell of the documentary, and I saw. I mean, I saw where it was just a lot of allegedlys. However, it was like 2 or 3 or 4 people saying the same things. So, and they say executives. They were just top level people in the Scientology organization, not people who were trying to go clear. They were actual, like, business people of the organization saying that Mixed Cabbage sent them there. So I just recommend that everyone go see it at least. It's a couple hours out of your life. It's entertaining, and you'll probably just stay far away from Scientology after watching it. If you want to do a little bit more digging, go onto YouTube and watch some people's accounts. And watch like Scientology's counter arguments. I mean, some of them are just like, in your head you'll just think, it doesn't seem too bad really. But then again, do you have $250,000 to go clear, or $1,000,000, whatever it costs?
No,
I
but you
don't.
can get one of these. You can get one of these e-meters on eBay.
Yeah, and you won't know how to read them. So I mean, the thing is, like, I think that's part of the auditor, is that you know how to read the e-meter,
That's
right?
true. It's true,
So
man.
you got to do the levels. You got to pay the.
You got to know how to
30,000.
use the tool.
That's right, man. It's like
All
a
right,
ghost.
so cue the A podcast at gmail.com.
Q the A on Twitter. Yeah, it's Q the A podcast on Twitter as well, and Q the A on Facebook.
Cue the A. Send
Yes.
us an email.
Yeah, communicate with us. We know a lot of you are out there listening. We've had quite a number of people listening the first month that we have started posting. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher.
Who are you?
Yeah. Send us an email. Let us know. We'll be looking for people who are experts in their field. If you wanna do an interview or be on our podcast, send us an email as well, and
right.
we'll consider you for our podcast.
Yeah, we'd love
Anything
to do
else
that.
there, Eon?
Dookie, Royale. I think that's about it, man. I think we covered a lot of the topics. I'm sure we
Yeah.
missed a few here and there, but I think it's one of those things people, if they're interested, they can research it themselves and they'll find all kinds of good stuff to find.
By the way, if you're listening to this, we do have the YouTube version that goes on typically every Monday night. It is available, and then our podcast is available on Tuesdays. Go and watch our videos on YouTube. Share them with your friends. All right.
That's right. You can see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, we tonight we were gonna do a recorded audio version, and all of our technology screwed up on us, so we decided to do our video chat again. So look for us to keep improving the podcast. Keep listening.
That's right.
All right, Eon. This is Dookie Royale.
All right,
Talk to you guys
Dookie
later.
Royale. Hey, have a good one, guys.
Goodbye.